Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Board meeting for Tuesday, October 20, 2020. I'm John Hutchings, the chair of the board. Also present is Vice Chair Commissioner Ty Menser and Commissioner Gary Edwards. We have County Manager Ramiro Chavez and Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell, and Amy Davis, the clerk of the board, is also in the room, I trust. So with that, we're going to not only have the board meeting, but we also have a public hearing after this and transportation benefit district. So with that, call the meeting to order, and the Pledge of Allegiance is to be led by Commissioner Gary Edwards.
If you join me in the pledge, and if you lose your place, it's up on the wall. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
Yes, I would make a motion to approve agenda for Tuesday, October 20th, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve today's agenda. Are there any corrections or changes to it, amendments?
No, sir.
Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you. And the board meeting minutes from October 13th?
Chair, I move approval of board meeting minutes from October 13th, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes from October 13th. Any corrections or changes? No. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. That takes us to number one on the agenda. That's the opportunity for the public to address the board. Please introduce yourself, including the place where you live in the county. Address the board. Silence any cell phones if you had it. The board does not respond to public comment, and on a needed basis, the county manager will follow up with specific items. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. You can't donate your time to another person, and we reserve the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the board for a good cause. No comments that are lewd or offensive, inflammatory, hateful, or disrespectful, discriminatory in any way. Please be respectful. No comments that are commercial in nature. Any materials provided to the county may be considered public record, subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 42.56 of the RCW. And remarks about pending land use permits aren't appropriate either. And Romero, we talked about no electioneering, please.
Thank you. For those members of the public who are planning to provide testimony this afternoon, please refrain from making any comments could be construed as electioneering. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And so I'll read the list. There's only one person on the list that's in the board room that signed up anyway, and that's John Pettit. And we'll check the phone later.
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live in East Olympia, Washington. I'm standing here at this wonderful stand in this wonderful room, and there's lots of empty seats here, including a couple of commissioners that could join us because we have more than adequate room right here in the meeting room that's been built just for this purpose. I realize there's limitations of 10 people in this room, and right now there's a total of 5 in here. So we would have had room for a couple of commissioners if they wanted to join in with the normal meeting process. I'm saying that because I realize people are running very scared, very, very scared of this pandemic. I was doing some interesting research regarding some of it, and I had determined that currently this pandemic has taken less lives in this county than any ordinary cause of death. Alzheimer's, any ordinary cause of death. As I've stated previously, there's less than 1 person per 1,000 people in the county that actually have COVID-19. And I think the problem here is that we have had a huge rise in the number of suicides. You have a much higher risk of dying by suicide in Thurston County right now than what you do by COVID-19. We have a problem that we also need to take care of, getting our children back in school, our businesses back open. Now, I realize that as commissioners, you like to follow the dictates of the state. And that being said, I understand the state wants things shut down. And I think that your position also needs to represent us and say, we need to open up. We need our children back participating in sports and activities. Inadvertently, the timer didn't get started, but I think I have another 30 seconds. And so I'm going to throw this into the conversation and just say that I will look forward to future meetings when all of the commissioners can join us for the actual board meetings. That is, in fact, what we're supposed to do. You went to a lot of trouble of putting down in the downstairs prepared for an overflow, and that's been neglected in order to have comfort of sitting in your offices. Please come join us next time, Commissioner Hutchings and Commissioner Menzer. Thank you.
Romero, is there anybody on the phone?
I'm going to check the phone. Would you like to provide public testimony today? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For those who have joined, good afternoon. For those who have joined us via conference call, please, if you'd like to provide public testimony this afternoon, please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, stating your name, where you live in the county, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, your name, where do you reside in the county? You have 3 minutes.
Yes, this is Jeff Hereford from Lakeside Industries. I'm the operations manager here in the Nisqually Valley.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm the operations manager here in the Nisqually Valley.
Has left the conference.
Sorry, we're getting some feedback. But anyway, Lakeside spent over 10 years seeking an amendment to the comprehensive plan to allow asphalt recycling in the Nisqually sub-area. Earlier this month, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on the amendment and voted unanimously in favor of asphalt recycling, subject to a requirement to cover the stockpiled wrap material. Next week, at a board briefing, staff will ask you whether to move forward with the wrap amendment and schedule a public hearing. We ask that you hold the public hearing and plan for a 2020 vote. This amendment has already received substantial comment and review for over a decade. Now we look forward to hearing your vote. Thank you.
Romero, I did not get his name.
Can you repeat your name, sir?
Jeff Hereford at Lakeside in the Nisqually Valley.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to provide public testimony this afternoon?
Yes, this is Tim Thompson, and I represent Lakeside, and I've been before the commission over the past few years a couple of times. I'd like to speak briefly to the amendment, but I would like to congratulate the commission and the county for doing everything you can to be safe and protect the citizens during this COVID pandemic. To get to the point, I think that we have enjoyed the ability to have some very good dialogue with the Planning Commission. We're pleased with the unanimous recommendation they made on the wrap amendment. As someone who has mediated and facilitated a number of independent regulatory agreements throughout Washington State, including things in the Nisqually Delta, we're pleased that we've been able to work cooperatively with the Nisqually tribe in seeking adaptive management provisions, conducting monitoring, and covering the pile. I would urge you to act expeditiously and read the record of the fish biologists and the scientific data that's been assembled to actually demonstrate that wrap is good for the environment and will be good for Thurston County. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you, and I would just repeat what the previous speaker said. We urge you to hold a hearing and adopt this amendment on wrap. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anybody else via conference call who would like to provide public testimony this afternoon? Thank you.
Thank you, Ramiro. That takes us to agenda item number 2, which is the county manager's update.
I don't have any specific items that I need to follow up today, Commissioners.
All right, sir. Agenda item number 3 is consent items A through E. Is there a motion?
Chair, I make a motion to approve consent items 3A through 3E.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve consent items A through E. Any discussion on any of those items? No?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Agenda item number 4 is 4A, extending local emergency related to COVID-19.
Thank you, Commissioners. As a matter of background, on January 21st, 2020, the Washington State Department of Health confirmed the first case of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 in the United States that was in Snohomish County. Washington and local health departments and the Washington State Department of Health have since that time worked to identify, contact, and test other Washington State potentially exposed COVID-19 cases as well as in the United States. On January 31st, 2020, hold on, for somebody who's joined us via Zoom, can you mute yourselves, please?
Is that are you talking to me?
Yes, please mute yourself.
Justice, will you mute yourself, please?
If I knew how to do that, I would do it. I will get my. I'm having to use.
There you
I
go.
just did it for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
So on January 31st, 2020, the United States Department of Health and Human Services declared a public health emergency for COVID-19, beginning on January 27, 2020. On February 29, 2020, the governor of the state of Washington adopted a proclamation 20-05 and subsequent amendments and proclaimed that this state of emergency exists in all the counties in the state of Washington as a result of the COVID-19 emergency. The Board of County Commissioners, via Resolution 15880, declared a local emergency from March 12, 2020 to April 15, 2020. The Board of County Commissioners follow up with a Resolution 15907, extending the local emergency declaration. They will end on October 31st, 2020. As of October 14 in 2020, Thurston County has had 1,501 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 21 deaths. As of October 14, 2020, the State Department of Health has reported that at least 95,509 confirmed cases in Washington state, with 2,221 associated deaths statewide. And the model predicts that a second and perhaps a third wave of COVID-19 is in the horizon here in the fall of 2020, as well as in the winter of 2021. This proposal before you is for you to consider extending the local emergency declaration until February 28th, 2021. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions of the county manager? No. Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve a resolution extending the declaration of a local emergency for COVID-19 through February 28, 2021.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to extend the local emergency resolution to COVID-19. Any further discussion? Nope. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Thank you. 4B is the external CRF contract amendments.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. Jenica Machado, Economic Development Manager. Based off of this morning's conversation, there was a decision to increase awards to external partners that we are partnering on for CRF distribution of funds to the community. We decided was 1.25 million to Thurston Strong, 750,000 to United Way, and 500,000 to Interfaith Works. And we are looking for approval for the contract amendments and County Manager Ramiro to sign the contract amendments.
All right. Any questions of Jenica? Nope. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the Coronavirus Relief Fund external contract amendments and authorize the county manager to sign contracts.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the CRF contract amendments. Any further discussion? Nope.
Just,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, just if the public's curious about the details, there was a detailed discussion this morning that they can review kind of what this is about.
Okay. Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. 4C, amendment to varsity custodial contract.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager. And I'm before you this morning in my role as Director of Central Services. One of the things that we've been doing in response to the coronavirus is ensuring that all of the county buildings are safe and clean, and people can come here with confidence to conduct their business with the county. Part of that included increasing janitorial services, and we contract with Varsity Custodial to provide services. They've added day porters. You see them in our meeting rooms and hallways and offices, cleaning surface areas. We have 3, they call them day porters, that come around during the day cleaning all the high touch surfaces. And they did that at no additional cost. However, when we expanded the use of building space to ensure that our staff and some of our clients could social distance as they conduct business, we added quite a bit of square footage that we're asking Varsity to clean on a regular basis. So I am asking your authorization to increase the Varsity contract by $815 a month so that they conduct regular cleaning of the new space that we're using in the administrative area of the old jail, where we have put district court probation office, where they can appropriately social distance and create enough space for their clients to safely come in. So $815 a month is a bargain for the work that they do, and just asking your approval on that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Robin?
No, sir.
Nope. Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve the contract amendment between Thurston County and Varsity Facility Services to include services for the old jail administrative area for an additional $815 per month, and authorize the Assistant County Manager to sign the contracts and any amendments that do not exceed more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the amendment to the varsity custodial contract. Any further discussion? Nope. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. That takes us to agenda item number 5, community planning and economic development. This is the history book grant to Olympia Historical Society and Bigelow House Museum. And I'm going to turn to Jeremy Davis, our operations manager.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Chair Hutchings, Jeremy Davis, Thurston County Community Planning and Economic Development. Thanks for having me here this afternoon. I'm very excited about this particular agenda item. For this item, we have a few guests with us today. We have Justice Gary Alexander, who is the president of the Olympia Historical Society and Bigelow House Museum, and Sandy Kroll, who is with Thurston County Historic Commission. Both of them were authors of the book, and Sandy was also one of the editors. They'll be doing a short presentation after I give a general overview. We also have Rob Kirkwood, who is the chair of the Thurston County Historic Commission, and I believe Shanna Stevens is also on the Zoom today, although her video's not on right now. But this is a grant of the Water, Woods, and Prairies book that was completed in 2019 by the Thurston County Historic Commission and published by Thurston County. It is a grant of about 225 hardbound books and 240 softbound books. And the grant period is set to go through 2022 with one extension. In February of this year, the Board of County Commissioners directed staff to work with the Olympia Historical Society and Bigelow House Museum on a grant award contract, and staff started doing that shortly after the board approved us to move forward with it. We did end up putting that on hold for a bit, but we restarted the conversation this last August. So what's before you today is your final consideration of that grant agreement. These books were funded by the Thurston County auditor fees that are meant to promote historical preservation and historical programs as authorized under state law. And the mission is really designed to provide knowledge of Thurston County's history through the sale of the Water, Woods, and Prairie History book, and provide funding to local organizations to help educate citizens about Thurston County's history. And I just want to commend Sandy and everyone who worked on that book. It's a wonderful book. It's actually quite beautiful. And so I don't want to talk anymore. I just want to let Sandy take it over. I think we're going to screen share with a short PowerPoint presentation so she can show you some photos out of the book and give you a general overview of it. And then Gary will give a chat about Olympia Historical Society and what they're going to do with it. With that, I'll turn it over to Sandy.
All right, just a moment. I'm getting this on board. I'll be right with you with a presentation. I do want to thank the Thurston County commissioners for their support of this project, and also, of course, the Thurston County Historic Commission for backing it. It has been quite a process, and I'll give you a little background on that in just a moment. Let me get on board here. All right. So Water, Woods, and Prairies began in 2012 as a part of the Thurston County Historic Commission. There hadn't been a book done in a number of years, though interestingly enough, the ones that had been done were by our current county historian person, Shanna Stevenson. And there seemed to be a real need and desire for an inclusive book about Thurston County's history. And other counties have had similar ones. This one, we decided that the best way to do that would be a joint project. So we gathered the historians and authors from the community together to decide on the content of Water, Woods, and Prairies. And the end result was that we had people take pieces of it that they had experienced expertise in, and then they did combine the research on that, and the result is a book of 290 pages with an extensive bibliography. Every single fact was double checked. Every source was double checked. And I know that because as one of the authors, I was called upon too. We hired a professional indexer to do this. And we also included a number of colored pages so that the history really pops. Over 250 photos. And of that, I'm going to just show you a very few, just as a teaser, but it's really hard to choose out of 250 photos, ones that I really would like to share with you. So I apologize for all the ones that were left out. So among that, we also have a number of original documents. For instance, all the signers of the Thurston County, the document to create Thurston County, the death sentence for Chief Leschi, and a whole number of others. We have 12 different maps and 25 separate sidebars. In choosing how to produce that, we went to a printing company that is not exactly in Thurston County, but certainly local within Southwest Washington. And that's Gorham Printing in Centralia, who specializes in books of this type. They were able to produce for us the hardbound books and softbound books. And as a part of not necessarily what they were doing, but it's nice to know that we have an ISBN number and the book is in the Library of Congress. Just an overview of the authors. I won't go through everyone's name here. And in the hopes that you might be interested in looking at that yourself, we also had some people who contributed essays, and I've listed that on this slide as well. And certainly the caliber of all of these participants is just outstanding. People who are experts in each of the topics that they chose. I'd also like to call out members of the Thurston County Historic Commission, Charlie Rowe, Rob Kirkwood, Dave Shipley, who was at the time part of the initiation of it, county staff, Kemi Peterson, Jeremy Davis, and Sonia Katie. So, and of course, the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners. It wouldn't have been possible without the background support of our Board of County Commissioners. I think one of the things that is really, really important to know here is that this book represents thousands and thousands of volunteer hours. People who did the layout, who did all of the fact checking, to say nothing of the authors themselves. So it's basically a huge community project. So we're delighted to have the Olympia Historic Society, Bigelow House Museum take this over as part of their ongoing, so we can make sure that the book is available to the public.
Hey, Sandy?
Yes.
I took a moment and shared my screen because we couldn't see yours. Can you see the PowerPoint now?
I can see it, can't you?
We couldn't see your screen, so I've gone ahead and shared mine. So right now I'm on the Maritime History slide. Which slide would you like me to be on?
I would like to go back to the one previous. The first one, Sorrows and Successes.
There we go.
Okay.
And just go ahead and tell me when to advance and I'll go ahead and push the go button.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. So in choosing, naturally, the first people who were here, we could never ignore the fact that they were the ones who lived here and were so much a part of the culture, of the early culture and the contemporary culture as well. So that chapter explores the culture of the Native people, both their sorrows and successes, and there are many of both. We're very proud to be a part of, to have that Native culture in our county. Next slide, Maritime History. These two chapters were written by the late Les Eldridge, who has written many maritime history chapters or books. The flagship Wilkes expedition provided a lot of place names, although I do have to point out that most of those place names already existed by the people who lived here first. But anyway, that's all part of it. Then we had the Mosquito Fleet, the first transportation system. And I'm going to go on to the next slide. The settlers had a major, well, obviously a huge part of the history of Thurston County. And remember, these are very, very limited slides, but I thought you might be interested to see the black settler, George Bush, an example of some of the many families, the James family of Grand Mound, the Bigelow home, where interestingly enough, will be the new home of Waterwoods and Prairies. Next slide. The first community, Don Trosper, was a good person to write that. There's even a picture of Trosper Road in the book and Capitol Way, and it certainly doesn't look that way now. There was a power plant in the Lower Falls, the Long Bridge that extended from Tumwater across the estuary, and just the interest of old photographs. Next slide. Farms and fields then and now. Agriculture has been a prominent part of our history with many prosperous farms as well as today with strong agricultural area, and that is highlighted in the books written by our historian, Shanna Stevenson. Community, she wrote that as well. Rainier, are you with me, Jeremy, on this one?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Rainier School and Zion Evangelical Church, which is charming. And most people have heard of the Tenino wooden money, as well as the Tenino sandstone. One of the early settlers was Thomas Rutledge of Little Rock, and this is downtown Little Rock, and he's in his new Cadillac in 1910. I like that picture. I think that's great. And next, no book about the Northwest would be complete without the big log pictures. This was the Tumwater terminal of James McIntosh tram roads. And this, we had an expert on logging history and railroads, logging railroads in the area, Dr. James Hannon, who contributed to this story. And this is, the bottom picture here is the company town of Vale. And look at how huge that is, built in 1927. I dare say there's nary a board left of it, though I haven't explored it personally. All right, next, oysters as one of the industries, the aquaculture. I just like the vastness of that picture, the still water, and I bet it's cold. Then we have excuse me, I'm turning off my timer here. This is the history of the brewery by Karen Johnson of the Olympia and Olympia Tumwater organization, foundation. And that is a rather sad tale, but certainly a prominent part of Olympia history. The battle for the Capitol. Now, there are probably more photographs, Your Honor, Mr. Alexander, that would indicate the battle for the Capitol, but I thought this was kind of charming. This was Governor Arthur Langley's son, Jimmy, in 1940.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Jeremy, could you please expedite the presentation? We have a lot of business to take care of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure, I will zip right along. I'll finish it up. Higher ed, the colleges. This is all the students in the Lacey schools who raised money for an ambulance to assist World War II. Construction of I-5. And then finally, the book talks about contemporary times of arts, culture, and music, and how that is part of our contemporary history. I'd like to point out that the book is now available, or will be by the end of the week, through the Olympia Historical Society and Bigelow House Museum, and there is the website. We encourage you to check this out and support the effort to distribute and spread the word about our colorful history of Thurston County. And I thank you again.
I thank you too, Mr. Crowell. Thank you. And since we have Justice Alexander here, I just don't want to leave without him saying something. Do you want to say hello or something, Gary?
Hey, okay.
Yeah, he's muted.
Your Honor, you need to unmute yourself.
You're muted, sir, Judge. I guess I heard him say hello. So thank you. And Rob, thank you very much, but we need to keep going. This is a beautiful hardcover book that the commissioners have received for the offices. So thank you very, very much. It's actually stellar. Commissioners, any comments? Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, I'm holding the book up right now, and I just want to thank all of the folks that were involved in the production of this. Having our history available is very important to the young folks coming up in our community. I see Hutch has got his book up there too. So the only thing missing from my book is I'd like to have a few more signatures in it. And when I say my book, the book that'll be here that belongs to the taxpayers of Thurston County. It'd sure be fun to have everybody sign that at some point. So maybe we'll bring it around at another day when we're not in the COVID situation. But thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you all for doing it.
Chairman Hutchins, Chairman Hutchins, am I unmuted? Am I unmuted?
Yes,
You are.
Okay, I realize you want to get on to other things, so I won't take a lot of your time, but I was prepared to give just a few minutes on our proposal, but I won't do that if you would prefer that we move on. But
oh, please do. Please move on because we're just jammed today, Judge.
Okay, I'll see if I can do this in 2 or 3 minutes. First thing, I want to thank the Board of County Commissioners for giving the Olympia Historical Society and the Bigelow House Museum an opportunity to elaborate on our proposal to distribute the really excellent Thurston County history book, Water, Woods, and Prairies, a book which was produced by the county, and that's to the county's great credit. And we, people who are interested in local history, want to thank the county for all your efforts up to this point. Just talking briefly about our proposal, it's designed really to do two things. The first one is to get this book out swiftly and broadly to all areas of the county. We don't want this to be a book that just goes to Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater. We want it to go to the entire county, the people who are interested in our county's history. And the second thing is we want this the distribution of these books to benefit the many historic heritage organizations in the county. And the way we're going to do this is by allocating books to these organizations to benefit their work in the county. And to that end, we have already reached out to 18 nonprofit groups and tribes, notifying them of the book partnership program. In that regard, I want to specifically mention that we fully expect to work with the Lacey Museum. They were they had made a proposal, and we certainly want to work with them. And we've received information from the Lacey Museum that they are interested in receiving some of the books and trying to distribute them to their members and others. Our organization, the Olympia Historical Society and Bigelow House Museum, will be selling the books directly through our website, olympiahistory.org, and complete information about how to obtain the books will be available beginning next week. I think Sonia touched on that a bit, or Sandy, I should say. We'll also be contacting local booksellers, about retail sales, and we will work to reach out to libraries, schools, and other interested parties to let them know how they might purchase the book. We are hoping to publicize the book by virtual presentations with authors and some of the chapters who would be willing to appear before organizations. And we look forward to working with the Historic Commission and the county to publicize the book's availability. I hope I didn't take too long, but that's what we wanted to say. We're really looking forward to this. It's a great book. I might just end by saying I'm very interested in Thurston County history. I've been, except for time at the University of Washington for college and law school and time in the Army, I've lived in Thurston County since 1942, and I'm very interested in its history and getting the people to know more about it. So thank you for...
We're very happy you joined us, Judge. Thank you very much. And Rob Kirkwood, I know you've had your fingerprint on this too, so thank you, sir, for all that you do. Ty, did you have any, Commissioner Minister, do you have any comments?
Just want to thank everybody. I love history. I've read this book cover to cover, along with some other, anything I can get my hands on. I didn't grow up in Washington, so I really enjoyed learning about all the different parts of Thurston County. I created a musical program a few years back that was based on Western Washington history, and I actually licensed photographs from the Washington State Historical Archive for that project, and it involved writers and painters and musicians. So I'll try to get that to you at some point so you can check that out. I really appreciate this. I'm glad we're finally getting out to the public. Thank you.
Very good. Is there a motion?
Yes, I would move to approve the 2020-2022 History Book Grant as recommended by the Historic Commission to the Olympia Historical Society and Bigelow House Museum, and authorize the Community Planning and Economic Development Director to execute the grant agreement and amendments.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the History Book Grant to Olympia Historical Society and Bigelow House Museum. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeremy, and everybody that was here for this. Thank you. That takes us to agenda item 5B, setting a public hearing for extension ordinance for economic security and relief during COVID.
Yes, Commissioners, Jeremy Davis again, Thurston County Community Planning and Economic Development. Today I'm here to ask the Board of County Commission to set a public hearing for November 17th at 4 p.m. or soon thereafter to take public testimony on an extension of our permit deadlines to December 31st, 2020. In April 2020, the Board of County Commissioners approved an emergency ordinance to extend permit expirations due to COVID-19 to September 30th, 2020. In September, the staff briefed the Board of County Commissioners on the expiration of the approvals to December 31st, 2020. And today the request again is to have the board set a public hearing for November 17th at 4 to extend those expirations. And just so everyone knows, the approval would actually end up being retroactive and would include those projects that may have expired since September 30th of this year.
Okay. Any questions of Jeremy?
No, sir.
No. All right. Is there a motion? Oh, we lost somebody.
Like we lost
yeah, Gary, you got a motion, Gary?
Yep. Okay, I'll make a motion. I would move to set a public hearing for November 17th, 2020 at 4 p.m. or as soon thereafter to renew the CPED permit extension ordinance to extend the permit deadlines of building and land use applications received by Community Planning and Economic Development to December 31st, 2020.
And I second that. So it's been moved and seconded to set a public hearing for the Economic Security and Relief Fund, or relief during the COVID-19 emergency. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. 5C is setting a public hearing for the renewal of ordinance number 15792.
Okay, I guess we're rolling right along. I would make a motion. Okay, no, here we go. We're gonna have an explanation.
I believe Leah Davis is going to present the item.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Leah.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Leah Davis, Associate Planner with Community Planning. This item on your agenda today is a request for a public hearing to renew the interim emergency housing ordinance. On June 14th, 2018, through resolution H2 2018, the Board of Health declared homelessness a countywide public health crisis. Partly in response to that resolution, the interim emergency housing ordinance number 15792 was passed by the board on June 25th, 2019. Subsequently, on June 9th, 2020, the board renewed this interim ordinance under ordinance number 15902. This interim ordinance will expire on December 9th, 2020, unless the board takes action to renew it. Under the Growth Management Act, renewal of interim ordinances is effective for 6 months. The options before the board now are to renew the ordinance, let it expire, or take action to repeal the ordinance at any time before it expires. In order to renew the interim ordinance, the board must hold a public hearing prior to renewal. There are no proposed changes to the standards at this time. The standards are the same as set forth in the original interim ordinance number 15792 and the previous renewal ordinance 15902. This interim ordinance does the following. In order to facilitate effective and timely service in response to the public health crisis, it offers waivers to some code requirements for homeless encampments. Under the interim ordinance and with emergency resolution by the board, the director of CPED may waive certain requirements for homeless encampments. A waiver by the director is allowed for a 6-month period, but can be extended beyond 6 months if the board holds a public hearing and finds that a public health emergency continues to exist. Here's an example of some of the requirements that can be waived. Requirements for size, maximum number of residents, parking standards, distance from a bus stop, right-of-way limitations, visual separation from other uses, keeping a log of residents, requiring verifiable ID, having a security tent, allowing visitors, maintaining a numbering system, and requiring liability insurance. The director does not have the option to waive the following requirements: the requirement for sanitary portable toilets, standards requiring structures to conform to building codes, fire safety requirements, requirement of the host to provide a code of conduct, requirement of encampment residents to sign an agreement to abide by the code of conduct, requirement of the sponsoring agency to self-police and self-manage, and the director cannot waive the prohibition of alcohol, drugs, fighting, abuse, littering, or disruption of neighbors. This interim ordinance applies to both the rural county and the urban growth areas. I want to be clear that this ordinance does not do the following. It does not outright eliminate any requirements. It merely offers the director the option to waive specific requirements. It also does not establish a camp in the rural county or urban growth areas. There are ongoing efforts regarding the broader issue of homelessness and encampment siting. County staff are currently engaged in the regional housing siting community efforts, which are considering criteria for locating encampments. It is still early in that process. If the board wishes to renew the interim ordinance, the next step is to schedule a public hearing. Staff requests the board set the public hearing for December 1st, 2020 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard. After that hearing, the board will have the option to renew the ordinance for a period of 6 months. That's all I have. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions of Leah?
No.
No. Ty? No? Okay. Is there a motion?
I move to set a public hearing for December 1st, 2020 at 3 p.m. or soon thereafter at the Thurston County Courthouse Building 1 in room 280 to accept public comment on the renewal of ordinance number 15792.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to renew an ordinance for the interim emergency housing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. 5D, setting a public hearing for final regulations to amend chapter 14.38.
Good afternoon, Chair Hutchings, Commissioners. Again, Jeremy Davis with Thurston County Community Planning and Economic Development. I'm here to request the Board of County Commissioners set a public hearing for November 24th at 3 p.m. or soon thereafter to consider final regulations for changes to Chapter 1438, which is development and flood hazards. On June 16th of this year, the Board of County Commissioners enacted ordinance number 15905 in response to a directive from the Washington State Department of Ecology and FEMA that we needed to update sections of our code by June 19th of this year. The proposed ordinance would finalize the changes the board adopted this past June. There are no proposed changes to what we adopted as interim regulations. The proposed amendments added technical definitions, clarifications, and rewording required by ecology and FEMA. They indicate records the county needs to retain. They add cross-references, and they add one new section to permit agricultural flood sanctuary structures, which we didn't have in our code before. Again, there are no proposed changes in the final ordinance from what the board adopted this past June. And I do want to note that Thurston County does have a community rating system rating of a Class 2 community, which gives our folks in flood hazard areas a 40% reduction on their flood insurance and others a 10% reduction. So Thurston County actually does a remarkable job in protecting its citizens through its flood regulations. And this item supports County Strategic Plan Initiative number 7, which is to balance development with the preservation of the county's rural character, natural areas, and open spaces. And with that, I'm here to answer any questions the board may have on the proposal.
Any questions of Jeremy, gentlemen?
No, sir.
No, go ahead.
Just a comment. It's a little bit of an understatement because that community rating of 2 puts us among, as I understand it, the top 6 or 7 jurisdictions in the nation that have that rating. It's very rare to have it, and we've done a lot of work to get to where we are. So appreciate that, Jeremy.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I move to set a public hearing for November 24th, 2020 at 3 p.m. or soon thereafter at Thurston County Courthouse Building 1 in room 280 to accept public comment on the adoption of amendment that updates Chapter 14.38 of the Thurston County Code, Development in Flood Hazard Areas, to ensure compliance with the National Flood Insurance Program.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to set a public hearing for November 24, 2020 regarding the proposed ordinance reference development in floodplains. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6, contract award for aerial imagery services. Yeah. Oh, there you are.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Dennis Osorio, IT Director. So some background on this. The Assessor's Office was recently approved to utilize CRF funding to obtain top-down and side-look aerial imagery. These aerial products will benefit the county operations that require physical inspections of properties by allowing staff to observe properties electronically without necessitating travel into the field. These operational changes will promote social distancing and minimize exposure. Currently, the county does obtain top-down aerial photography or aerial photos, and Information Technology Geodata Division serves as the lead entry into managing this aerial data as a core component of the county's GIS system. Many county offices and departments utilize this aerial photography for day-to-day business needs, and the public can also access this data on the Geodata website. The initial cost is for the first, it's a 6-year contract. So for the initial cost is $333.76. And then they would fly again in 2 years, which would be in 2022, which would be $345,672.81. And then in 4 years, 2024 would be $190,338.28. Those all include sales tax. The full contract, as I stated, is for 6 years with a total of $866,044.85. The contract does allow an option to renegotiate the scope of work for the second and third flights, and with an option of terminating the agreement altogether in the event both parties cannot agree. Future costs will need to be collected in IT rates, and the vendor is planning to do the first flight late this fall to obtain the first aerial data set. So with that, I'm asking to approve a contract with Eagle Technology Corporation for $866,044.35 for aerial imagery services and authorize myself, Director of Information Technology, to execute the contract and any amendments to not exceed 10% contingency.
We just take second that as a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was.
No, that's fine. That's fine, Dennis.
There's a lot of numbers in there, so I was trying to make sure to capture them all.
Any questions or comments for Dennis Osorio?
No, sir.
No? Okay.
I'm sure the public that the commissioners have very, very carefully reviewed this item and explored its ins and outs. I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready for it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes.
I move to approve a contract with Eagle Technology Corporation for $866,044.35 for aerial imagery services, and to authorize the Director of Information Technology to execute the contract and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve a contract award for aerial imagery services. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
I do. I want to thank you, Dennis Osorio, and Brian Ferris for all your efforts in this stressful, pressured issue, because it came to us the last minute, kind of at the last minute, and you had a can-do attitude. It worked real well. So thank you for all your efforts in that regard, and for the assessor for finding this as a way to improve services for the county as well. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. And I just wanted to touch on, I mentioned it before, this was a full county effort. We had folks from Central Services, the auditor's office. There's a lot of folks that were involved in this. We were turning stuff around very quickly. So we have a great team here.
Yeah, you sure do. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. That takes us to agenda item number 7, Public Health and Social Services purchasing testing team equipment needed for the COVID-19 response. And we have Mark Moffett, Community Program Manager, with us. Hi, Mark.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. How you doing?
Fine, thank you, sir. Take it away.
Okay, so what this is, this request is to help bolster our testing division within the COVID-19 response team. And I was reminded this morning by Commissioner Menzer that this was really an initiative by Commissioner Edwards to get more testing out to the rural areas of our county. So this is a threefold request. One is for testing machines. It would be for 10 testing machines or Abbott testing machines, rapid, so that we have the ability to test the samples that we collect. Currently, we send them out to the state lab, and it takes up to 24 hours to get those results back. These machines will allow us to get results back in 15 to 30 minutes. The second part of that is a portable lab. Right now, we have our testing folks at Lily Road at the Public Health Department, and we have other things going on in there. So we want to remove them to limit exposure to other folks working at Public Health, and then to have that secluded within the portable lab trailer that would be parked at the Emergency Coordination Center. And then the last part of that is to purchase 3 support vehicles, support vans, going out to the rural areas. We have to take a lot of equipment, and this would help facilitate that, and also to get to some of the outbreak events that are happening around the county.
Is there any questions of Mark? Nope. Okay,
No,
motion.
we've been over this as well.
Move to authorize a waiver from competitive bidding in accordance with RCW 39042801C under the Emergency Declaration Resolution 15907, and award a contract to the following vendors: Abbott Rapid DX North America LLC, Washington State Master Contract number 05916, and Great Dane for a combined amount of $560,631 for the needs of providing accessible mobile testing for COVID-19 to all residents of Thurston County, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to execute the purchase agreements with these vendors and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to purchase testing team equipment needed for the COVID-19 response. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Mark, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Agenda item number 7 is Public Works, interlocal agreement with Thurston Regional Planning Council for the Rural Community Support Program. And we have Teresa Parsons, our senior civil engineer here.
Good afternoon, commissioners. This item is for the establishment of an agreement between Thurston County Regional Planning Council and Thurston County to set up what is termed the Rural Community Support Program. TRPC has been authorized the ability to award Federal Highway Administration transportation dollars to local agencies. Some of the smaller communities and tribal jurisdictions don't have sufficient staff to administer federal dollars per all of the strings attached. And so this agreement would have TRPC allocate transportation dollars to those tribal and small communities, but direct the money into Thurston County projects because Thurston County is able to administer federal dollars. And in exchange, the county would set aside non-federal dollars for the rural community and tribal projects. And in addition, we would be given some money to administer those funds. So this agreement would be in perpetuity as long as both parties want to keep the program going. It would initially set up a program of $275,000 set aside in 2022 and $275,000 in 2023 for the small communities and tribal jurisdictions, and the county would receive $755,340 in federal money.
Oh, very good. Any questions for Teresa? No? Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve an interlocal agreement with Thurston Regional Planning Council to create the Rural Community Support Program.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve an ILA with the TRPC. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Agenda item number 9 is the commissioners reporting back on their work sessions and such, and it's just after 3 o'clock. I will dispense with mine. Commissioner Spencer?
I'll just briefly, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Mincer.
Okay, sorry. I didn't hear what he called. I just briefly say that at the study meeting on Friday, I learned from Nora White of the Thurston Conservation District that our conservation district was selected as Conservation District of the Year for Washington State. And I just want to congratulate the supervisors and the staff who weathered through a very difficult period for the organization and have come out the other side, obviously with flying colors, doing good work. So excellent job, and everybody should be proud of the current state of our Thurston Conservation District. They're doing great.
Beautiful. All right, thank you, sir. And 9B, the county manager.
Commissioner Edwards, would you like to?
The only thing I'd like to point out is that for the community out there, we're going to be recognizing October as Cancer Month, and I think that'll be coming up next month, or next week, if I remember right. And Nicole Wolseley brings this to our attention as a general rule, and we've had little confusion because of our COVID situation. So for the community that supports that cancer situation, just want to let them know we're with you. Thank you.
I wasn't ignoring you or slighting you, Commissioner Edwards. I thought you said no.
No.
That's fine.
That's
all
fine,
right,
sir.
So go ahead, county manager.
Thank you, Commissioners. Let me walk you briefly of your upcoming schedule for the upcoming week, where at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report. Shortly thereafter this meeting, you have a public hearing. We will receive public testimony related to 4 open space applications. Wednesday, October 21st, tomorrow, at noon, you have your monthly meeting with your fellow elected officials here in the county. Thursday, October 22nd, 9 in the morning, you have a briefing related to the capital improvement plan, followed 10 o'clock by your regular commissioners check-in. And in the afternoon, at 1 in the afternoon, Commissioner Hutchins and Commissioner Mincer will have the regular Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization. And I have to apologize because I cannot remember the new name of this organization, so keep calling the same. And moving on to next week, Monday, October 26th, you have at noon the Washington State Association of Counties, the virtual assembly. Will you meet with your fellow commissioners and elected officials across the state? And you'll be coming back on Tuesday, October 27th at 9 in the morning, where you will have your regular agenda setting for your board meeting in the afternoon. That's all I have for you.
Thank you. My fellow seatmates, is there anything for the good of the order?
No, sir.
No. All right, then this meeting is adjourned, and we'll be signing off and getting into a public hearing regarding open space.
With another Zoom meeting. Thank you.
Another Zoom. Thank you. Bye-bye now.